Hi, Misha here, and Jay and I are going to talk about two very similar rifles, semi-automatic AKM types on the market today. Both in the very similar price range. We have the Romanian Cugir WASR-10, which has been coming in one form or another for over 20 years. And we have a newcomer, the Polish WBP Fox. Both are chambered for $762.39. And pretty similar price. The Fox is a little pricier, but we decided to take both to the range. And then, we're going to talk about what we think about each one, and just, this might be a little bit of a buyer's guide or whatnot. So let's cut over to the range and we'll come back here and Jay will join us at the table. WASR-10. Fox. WASR-10. No wire folders. Fox. WASR-10.
Interestingly, the same thing happened on it, on this X-Tech, as it did on that magazine we thought we were having problems with. The bolt overrode the round.
Fox.
Good.
WASR-10. Fox. All right. So we had very good luck, of course, with both of these. The only issues were related to surplus magazines, which I'm going to be doing a separate video, kind of just looking at some new surplus mags, including the one in the Fox over there that came from Arms of America. It's kind of a cool mag. It's a so-called Romanian trainer mag with the lanyard loop. It's from Arms of America. Had a couple other mags come in. Just for fun, I stuck a Russian Bakelite in this one. But that'll be a separate video, and it just will, kind of relate to what you can and can't expect out of 60-year-old surplus mags in some instance. But yeah, these are very similar guns. The WASR, everyone knows. Yeah, once upon a time, these are $400, even $300. Today, they're more like $700 to $750 for a fixed stock. And the Fox starts off at about $750, but that's just for unconverted. If you get one that takes standard mags and has standard furniture, they're closer to $900 to $1,000, depending on the furniture type. And both are $762.39, as I said. Both have a 1.0 stamped receiver, and both use the AKM operating system. Oh, and both have 16-inch cold hammer forged chrome lined barrels, because both are true imports. So yeah, we can kind of get into different stuff, but what are your kind of initial thoughts on shooting both today?
Well, shooting both, they're both 100% reliable. The WASR has been sort of a go-to AK for a lot of people, provided you weren't a gun snob in the mid-2000s. Because there for a while, the WASRs had among the worst reputations of all of the commonly commercial available AKs, and most people who actually knew anything about guns liked them because they knew that they worked. They were what they were, a little rough around the edges, but functional. Occasionally canted sights and all that stuff that was... a little bit overblown.
Kind of a mediocre finish, but
yeah, sure. I saw some WASRs with rust around the welds and all that stuff, just because that's the finish that they used. So that was like I said, they've always been good guns. They've always had a good reputation generally for functionality, even if for a while the internet hive mind didn't care much for them. The Fox rifle, on the other hand, is fairly new, like Misha mentioned, and haven't been around as long of a time. But testing, like what the AK Operators Union has done, and our personal hands-on experience and everything, and for what we've heard from the most part, the general reaction to these has been pretty positive. And so while it still has some years to build up on it, to build up its reputation, so far we're pretty happy with how these have turned out. There's been some things with like paint flaking off and stuff like that on these, but you know, cosmetic, much like with the WASR, is purely a cosmetic thing. So, but shooting these back to back, the stock that you have on this, which is a barrel,
yeah, I was going to mention how I have, these are both mine, although Jay does own a Romanian and a Fox as well. I have this WASR set up in what they call a PM90 configuration, so wire side folding stock, and you can either have a dong forearm or palm swell. I went with palm swells on this just because, and it has your basic brake, and that over there has early Barrel furniture. It's got the Barrel side folding stock, and it's got the early Barrel handguards, and it's got a US copy of a Barrel muzzle brake made by Atlantic Firearms. So you know, they each kind of have their own little setup, but of course that's the beauty of a standard AKM pattern. You can put whatever furniture and muzzle device you want on either one, because both are threaded 14x1 left hand, and actually both have a bayonet lug and cleaning rod under the barrel. They really are very similar. So yeah, as you were saying about the stock, I just, you know, these are both customized. As they came in, they both are just standard fixed stock guns.
So shooting them back to back, this one was more comfortable right out of the gate just because of the stock. It's got a little bit more of it's got this little rubber end piece on it. It's pretty grippy. This is just steel. Has a little wire bit on it, and this was slapping my cheek a whole lot more. I have a PM90 set up as well, and my clubfoot has paracord wrapped around it because that's just kind of endemic on those. So I can't really give that and say, hey, you know, the WASR shoots less comfortably than the Fox rifle, because that just has to do with the stock. Recoil impulse and all that stuff seem to be about the same. The Fox actually seems weightier. Maybe it's your setup with the stock on it. I'm not sure.
Could be. Yeah, I mean, the muzzle device is a little thicker. The top cover is a little heavier, dutier. Yeah, and I don't know which stock would win. That is a bigger stock, but it has more rubber on it. This is just straight, solid metal. But yeah, I would, without throwing them on the scale, I'd say that was slightly heavier.
Yeah. So it's got a little bit weightier feel to it, at least how this one is set up. Of course, has a rear tang for the barrel style scope mount.
Yeah,
and the notches cut out for it, which I have on my Archer and works pretty well.
Yeah, it's a really good.
Real tight.
That also has the side rail, as does this one. So they both have side rails for your comm block, but the Fox has the addition. You can use the modern Polish scope if you wish. And both take standard AKM furniture.
Yep.
Both have a standard AKM relatively lightweight profile. One thing to point out, both are import receivers. Both do have the XY stamps. The Fox has the dimpled magwell, and the WASR is pretty much, I'm sure you all know, is just a slab side. So that, you know, that might be something, but it's purely cosmetic. Oh, and the WASR has a ribbed top cover, a little bit thinner gauge metal. The Fox has a thicker slab side top cover.
Yep.
Hard to really talk about trigger groups because you can usually put what you want in them.
Yep.
But one thing I think we can say, the WASR has a finished out bolt carrier, whereas the Fox is left in the white. Now it's not completely raw metal, it is treated, but in my opinion, the bolt travel on that Fox is a lot slicker than on the WASR. or any Romanian gun.
Yeah, and that's kind of was going to be kind of my point is shooting wise, they're pretty much the same. I mean, they don't feel significantly different, except the Polish guns, and it does every Polish gun that I fired compared to every other gun, every other AK has been a lot smoother. So this gun, manipulating the action, cycling the bolt, and then even the shooting part of it is just a little bit smoother feeling. And I think, I'm not 100% sure what that is. Do you think that that's mainly because of the polished bolt carrier versus... There's just something about them. I don't know. It's like the.
I think it's a combo. I think it's a combo of it having a paint finish, which is a little slicker, the polished carrier, and just better tolerances, less burring. I mean, that's one thing you can find on Romanian guns is burring, and usually that will wear away after a few hundred rounds. And I've got my old SAR-1 that I've had for over 15, nearly 20 years, and it's as slick as anything after thousands of rounds. But the Polish guns seem, let's say, already broken in from the factory.
Yeah, there's something about them that is just they're my favorite AK. I collect them, and they're my favorite AK to shoot, honestly, because they are just so smooth feeling. They feel very well.
Here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a VEPR FM
Yep.
47.
Yes.
And you own a Fox too.
Yes.
Not that one, but yours. What do you think about VEPR versus the Fox, since you have both?
So, I mean, Russian AKs to me typically have also felt they have felt kind of rattly, and I don't mean that to sound. I don't want that to sound. People are going to jump all over me for that. I'm not meaning to say that they feel like of poor quality or anything like that, but they have a certain very utilitarian feel to them still. And my VEPR is an extremely nice AK. Of course, it's a lot heavier than, because of the fact that it's a downscaled RPK. So that adds a certain amount of recoil reduction, plus having a generous recoil pad and all that stuff. So it's smoother to shoot from a recoil standpoint because it's heavier. But as far as action-wise, I think my Fox rifle is just a little smoother. So very, very close, but I think the Polish AKs are still among the smoothest.
Yeah, and one thing worth pointing out, this WASR I brought out today is a more or less current. It's a 2018-19 era. It's not one of the, because WASRs, they've been coming in so long, they've had their ups and downs. Some years are better. It's like wine, some vintages are a little better than others. Mm-hmm. And more recently, I think Century has put a little more QC into their part, because both of these do have to be opened up from single stack to double when they get imported. So that's kind of on the importer to do that properly. But honestly, I've been wanting to bring my Fox out again, and I'd put out a video a little bit back where this gun was featured kind of in the background, and people wanted to see it in action. So figured, why not bring them both out?
Yep.
And just do a comparison. I mean, everyone knows the WASR. It is legendary, maybe at one time infamous, but I think today it's pretty well received.
Yeah.
The only problem is they still are just about the cheapest AK worth it on there, but they, 700 plus. What do you think, just for someone looking to buy their first or second AK, do you think they should just stick with the WASR, save a couple $100, maybe put that towards a case of ammo, or spend, a couple $100 more, get a Fox?
And if you're just wanting to get an AK that shoots and is going to work well and run reliably, it's hard to say. It would be hard for me to say anything other than just get a WASR because of the price difference, and I feel like it almost seems like a rite of passage anymore for getting AKs. Like you almost have to start with a WASR. If you're more of an enthusiast, if you already have an AK or two, or if you're one of the types of people where fit and finish is really important to you, then I think that the Fox. I mean, that would be entirely up to you if that extra couple $100 to get a little bit better fit and finish is worth the price difference to upgrade to the Fox. So, because at their heart, they're still AKs that work.
Yeah, and they're both imports. And
yes.
I will say that there's far fewer Fox rifles in the country now, and there probably always will be because the WASR is imported in huge numbers. Cugir is a huge state factory, whereas WBP, while it has business ties and is associated with FB-Radom and the Polish government, it is still a private concern. They produce far fewer, so long term maybe more collectible. On the other hand, people know the WASR better, and that helps too. And that's really the only other Polish AK to come in has been the Archer, which is a whole other beast. It's
Right.
223, and of course today those are multi-thousands. I'm not saying the Fox will ever be that, but if you want an imported Polish AKM and 7.6239, that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas Romania, there's a lot of different variations. I mean, Century has been the prime importer, but there was also M&M, and before that, several people imported their guns in the 90s. So it would be interesting to know, before the Romanian guns, the Chinese were the most prolific in the USA.
Yeah.
I suspect, but have no evidence, that there are now more Romanian AK semi-autos in America than any other AK semi-auto.
I think that's probably. It seems like every time you see anything on movies and TVs where it's an AK, it seems like it's a Romanian.
Or rap videos.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I think I personally like the Fox series better than the WASR guns, only because, like I said, the fit and finish. I'm a Polish collector because I think that they're just so smooth. I have the M10, the Romanian M10. I have an AES 10B. I've shot tons of WASRs over the years, and the Polish guns always seem to me just be a little bit smoother in the action and just in general feel and look a little bit better.
Yeah,
So,
I think there's a little more
edges.
care. They don't have that mass-produced assembly line. A little more care.
Yep.
I'm not saying there haven't been a QC issue here or there, like we mentioned the finish on a batch that came in. They used the same exact paint, same brand of paint to paint theirs that FB-Radom uses, but they had a batch where the room it was painted in wasn't perfectly sanitized. It was a little bit contaminated, which for a military contract doesn't really matter, but for a civilian contract does.
Yeah.
But as we said, the WASR finish can be just as shaky in different ways.
Right. Yeah, all of my Romanian guns have just showed scratches like crazy, right? They look like they've been dragged around behind a truck, even with relatively light range use. So, but my first AK ever was a AES 10B. It was a Romanian AK. So and I've had several over the years. You know, I think it.
Jay,
Yeah.
it's not an AK, it's an RPK.
Well, okay.
At him, guys. At him. No,
No,
it's an AK.
Dominants aren't AKs. Galils aren't AKs. I get it.
Yeah, no. And really nothing outside of Russia is a true AK, right?
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, we just thought we'd have both out, shoot them side by side with the same ammo, same mags, and it was a good chance to test those surplus mags, which was going to make for a different and probably interesting video, too. But yeah, I have to say, if you're wanting baby's first AK, my first was an SAR-1. Romania has been, for a long time. But I will say this, when the Fox came out, I was seriously considering one of the stamped arsenals, the SLR 107R from Bulgaria, and I ended up getting the WBP Fox instead because same basic money, and I'm really glad I did that. So I would say first AK WASR is probably still the better value, but if you want something a little higher end, personally, I would go with the Fox over a stamped arsenal.
Wow.
Yeah, now milled arsenal, that's a whole other kettle of fish, but then it's also, again, more money. I mean, these days milled arsenals are $1,300 and up.
Yeah. Right.
So it's kind of hard to compare. It's kind of like you comparing the Russian guns. They're now much too. And I like the VEPRs a lot, but it's hard to really evaluate. Yeah, it's hard to evaluate the Molot and the Sega stuff now because of the sanction. It's kind of been artificially propped up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to recommend those as a good value for anything other than, if you're trying to get a collector item.
Yeah, it was,
collector premiums.
When WASRs were $350, you could, at the lowest point, get a Sega SGL-21 for $499 retail. And when the Vepr FM's fixed stocks came out, $999 was the retail price.
Yeah.
So they were very well priced and a great alternative then, but now when they're $1,500 up for either one, up to you guys. But
Yeah, right.
these are guns that you could take out to the range, shoot, enjoy, customize as I've done. They take all the standard AKM bobs and doodads, even bayonets.
Your Fox rifle looks completely different than mine.
Yep.
Except that we have the same handguards.
Yeah, those are really good handguards.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, I took them off my Archer to put on the more modern ones, but I wasn't going to throw them in a drawer, so it ended up going on there. And kind of the same with that stock. I actually bought that stock years ago, not knowing what I'd put it on, but figuring one day a rifle would show up that would work well with, and boom, Fox.
And mine has a buffer tube adapter with a Magpul CTR and a cheek riser.
Yeah.
To fit my scope mount. So.
Yeah, and in addition to that, it has the block in the back for the barrel mount. The only thing about that, sometimes you have to slightly relieve a stock to fit around that block in the back. It's not a big deal. Any AK furniture you're going to have to fit to your gun when it's brand new anyway.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Well, any final thoughts?
No, it's hard to go wrong with an AK unless you're buying any number of ones that we talked about that are not good.
Well, you know what's funny is 2018 you heard a lot about the IOs and the RASs and the what was the C39s. This year, that's been really quiet ever since certain high profile tests and things happened early on. Right. So it seems like even Century's going back to focusing more on imports, which we hope they really continue in 2020. That's what they've been good at, bringing them over, converting them, selling them at reasonable money.
Right.
And Arms of America is a relative newcomer to importing AKs. They do the Fox there as well as a pistol version. And we're really hopeful they'll be able to expand the product line at some point.
Yep. Yeah, hopefully. I hope they do well. I want them to succeed. That's one of the interesting things I see a lot about comments, and probably we'll even get some in this video before anybody's finished watching it, is people like to degrade one brand or style or something of gun over another, and especially when you're dealing with relatively similar or effectively identical makers and manufacturers. And at the end of the day, everyone should want these people to succeed. Everyone should want Fox to do well. Everyone should want Romanian Cugir to keep producing their AKs.
Zastava.
And doing well. Zastava.
That's one I heard a lot of flack about sometimes.
And the attitude of, well, this isn't as good as this gun, even if they're pretty much identical functionally, because, I already have this gun. So why do we're just going to crap on this gun over here because I've already got this gun and I'm happy with it, so I'm going to crap on everything else that I don't have. And that's really, it's a counterproductive attitude to have, because that type of fanboyism discourages, it discourages the market. And it's better for the market to have a bunch of different options than for all of your option to just be the WASR from Century, who has the effective monopoly in importing that stuff.
They can set the price, and what do you do? And also
set the price, and if they just decide, hey, we're not going to import these anymore,
what if they
screw? Okay, what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
So,
competition keeps the QC. It gives them that. Yeah. I mean, I think that's why the newer WASRs are generally better than the older ones.
Sure.
They had to stay alive.
Right. So yeah, neither one of us wants to see whether it's a WBP or a PSA or anything else. Like, we don't want to see these companies fail, because it's really only good for the market and for the consumer if these companies succeed. And so we want them to succeed. And I think everyone, the gun community in general, should want these companies to do well, should want a Fox, a WBP to do well, even if they don't think that the value is there.
Even like you said, WASR. PSA, a domestic AK.
Sure.
There's if the very least, if you're an import fan like we are really,
right,
having a domestic maker, if they make standard parts, is great for spare parts.
Exactly. Yeah, having a go-to option if for some reason imports ever were to disappear overnight, having someone who's making those parts and everything already to keep your guns running is not a bad thing, even if for us, like, we look at an American manufacturer and go, well, we've already got the imports.
Yeah.
So, and the imports are available and commonly available and still relatively reasonably priced.
So even today, not really any more money. I mean,
Right.
if so, $100 more maybe, which is half a case of ammo.
Sure. Then yeah, for us, that value proposition doesn't exist, but it doesn't mean we want them to fail either. So, just because a lot of AK guys aren't going to get into the American-made AKs or a cheaper AK or whatever it happens to be, doesn't mean that they're worse necessarily or inherently bad in some way. Because everyone should want that to work out for everybody.
Basically, a positive attitude goes a long way.
Yeah.
There's no reason to gloat when something fails.
Right.
And the reason this video seemed like a good idea because people always like hearing more about WASRs.
Yep.
On the other hand, a lot of people don't know about the Fox, even though it's been out for over a year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of like comparing one of the oldest horses in the stable to one of the newest.
Yeah. 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 So, they're both good guns.
Yeah, and I mean, I've put thousands of rounds through Romanians.
Yes.
And we've run both of our Foxes quite a bit over the past bit. And, again, just flawless reliability.
Exactly.
The only time we've ever had issues with either make is when it's attributable either to bad ammo or bad mags that don't work in any guns. It's not like one mag Jay was having problems with had a dent in it, we discovered. The beauties of metal mags. But, it's not always a gun's fault when there's a failure. It can be. It often is, but it can be other things.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, we know you like AK stuff, so it seemed like a good time at the end of the year here to do an AK video this holiday week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's kind of our recommendation. The WASR is still king, but if you're looking for a little something special or different or a little nicer for not a ton more money, check out the Fox. Yeah. It's proven to be quite good from a relative newcomer to things.
So the takeaway for this video that you've heard is Jay thinks the Fox rifle is better than Molot VEPRs, and Misha thinks the Fox rifle is better than Arsenals.
I'll actually stamped Arsenals. I'll stand behind that. I haven't been disappointed, but I haven't really been super impressed with stamped Arsenals. Now they're milled. I think the milled's where it's at. I think that's where their heart's at. It just seems like those guns they really put it into,
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. It's just our opinions. Ended up being a really great day outside, so time to burn through a few hundred rounds of X39.
Yep. Yeah.
So guys, if you have any questions about either of these or anything in general, post them below or check out our Patreon where we do Q&As. We'll be doing a Q&A right around New Year's, so depending on when this goes out, there'll still be a few days left if you'd like to post an AK question in that forum there.
Yep. Yeah, we'll be recording it early the week after next, so it'll probably be open until not this coming weekend. Well, I guess at this point, yeah.
Yeah.
When this video will be posted this coming weekend is when it'll be closed.
The Q&A video will probably be going up right around New Year, and so it'll be closed right around New Year's Eve or a day or two before.
We had about 15 posts up there last time I checked. Some of those had multiple questions, so I appreciate everybody getting out there and asking those.
And we have Polish AK playlists, we have Romanian AK playlists, so if you're interested like more in the PSL or the Archer, you might check on the playlist because we've probably done a video on it by now.
Yeah. Yep.
Alrighty, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. Hope you're having a good holiday season and end of the year. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, Merry Xmas, I don't know, all that good stuff. Merry Catmas.
Merry Catmas. There's a cat in my lap right now.
Of course.
It's not a euphemism for anything. He's right here.
Sure. Hold him up to the camera and wave.
I did.
Yeah.
He held.
You want to take him home?
No, I don't. Thank
you sure?
No, I'm good.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, I'm going to run across the kitchen and turn.
This is Misha.
This is Jay.
And we'll catch you soon next time.
Bye.